Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury in Bulldog Nation, Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Jury gets it at 9 o'clock today. They're deliberating. Who knows when they'll have a verdict? Who knows what that verdict might be? I want to make a few comments, some humorous, some serious. Do you believe that that prosecutor pointed that gun at the jury with his hand on the finger? Wow. Wow. That's how bad things happen. Can you imagine? By the way, I saw this morning that George Clooney says that there should never be any live ammunition on a set, and he's never even heard the word cold gun before. That's interesting. Rioters. The prosecution, I couldn't believe it. I didn't watch all of it. But there's a section that I was watching where the prosecutor says, well, Rosenbaum lit a trash can on fire, and he dumped over a portalet that nobody... I mean, he's just poo-pooing this guy's conduct and basically poo-pooed all the rioters' conduct. And then the other jackwagon said, everybody has to take a beating every once in a while. Rittenhouse should have just let himself be beat up. And then they try to act like Rittenhouse was like an active shooter, like somebody that was shooting, killing everybody. I mean, that clearly was not the case. I mean, it's the way they twisted things. Just, And you know what? Calling out the National Guard for this, there's not going to be the need for National Guard because it doesn't involve race. The only time National Guard has to come out is when there's race. Then there's riots and burning and destruction. Because, as I've said over and over again, there is now in this country, it's a fact, there's black privilege. And I will never understand, ever, why those people fighting for justice and everything else, it's only their justice. It's almost like they just want to flip the switch. That's not justice, but that's what they want to do. It cracks me up. Heather Kurtenbach. They have good old Kamala and Joe Biden walk out to go to the infrastructure signing to make it look really good. Joe Biden had Heather Kurtenbach, a union leader, to introduce him, and they screwed up and called Kamala Heather Kurtenbach. So right when they're trying to make it look like all's good between Joe and Kamala, they call her Heather Kurtenbach. It's like, let's go, Brandon. We all know what that means. Now the new rallying cry is going to be Heather Kurtenbach. Every time we see Kamala, Heather Kurtenbach. Steve Bannon. I love being a prophet. Remember what I said about this charge against Bannon? That it's not going to change anything with these Trump loyalists. Bannon said it's going to be the worst misdemeanor they've ever filed. Boy, is he in a fighting mood. Because you know what? When he gets to defend himself, he gets access to stuff. He gets to make arguments. It's going to be incredible. Guess what, folks? Contempt of Congress. They never file contempt of Congress charges against anybody. Only Trump loyalists get that treatment. Can't make this up. The Democratic Party is saying the GOP is too dangerous to control Congress. That's their message. I mean, they've got nothing but racism, fear-mongering. That's all they got because they know their governing has been so pathetic. Joe Biden met with G. What a joke. What a joke. What a difference between power, strength, and weakness. Our farting president. Our poop his pants. Can you imagine? And G said, my dear old friend. A Chinese dissident, this was kind of eerie, said Americans are already living in an authoritarian state. We just don't know it yet. Well, you know what? I don't dispute that. But having somebody like him say it made me even pause even more and say, wow, it feels like it to me. Does this feel like the America you grew up in? Hell no. This is weird stuff. And it's authoritarian. Very much so. Tyson Foods says chicken prices are going to keep going up. That doesn't help us, does it? How about this? That critical race theory defender says he's got 1,000 people locked and loaded and they'll be back. I wonder if the Justice Department is going to investigate him. Was there any, what was that? Was black supremacy? Well, where do we hear those words? I didn't hear anybody, those parents at those school board meetings say, I'm coming back with 1,000 locked and loaded. Did you hear that? I never heard that. A New Hampshire high schooler has been suspended because he says there are only two genders. There are only two genders. Incredible. AFTAB, your Cincinnati mayor, has named Mike Fisher from Children's Hospital and Mark Mallory, 2 of the 3 members on his transition committee. You see why it's all screwed up? You see how it works in this city? Mark Mallory was the worst mayor in the history of that town. Streetcar, streetcar, streetcar. Corruption, corruption, corruption. He's on the transition team. Unbelievable. Liz Cheney, good old Liz, the Republican Party in Wyoming has said she's not a Republican. They've disowned her completely. You think she's going to win? Not a chance. Trump and McConnell. There's a book came out apparently that said McConnell's the one that told Trump he wasn't invited to come to the Biden inaugural. And Trump has said, baloney, I wouldn't go in the inaugural in no way, shape, or form. Good for Trump for not going. I'm so glad Trump has finally had enough of McConnell. I'm so glad. Inflation. Wall Street Journal story yesterday. Inflation helps boost profit margins. This is how big corporate America works. Companies seize opportunity to increase prices and outrun their own rising costs. See, it's a movement. Big corporate America, baby. They're going to keep taking it to you. Last but not least, I want to mention this. I get emails from the DCCC, the Democratic Party, because I just do, and I like it because I see what each party's doing. They actually were using Brian Williams' retirement from NBC to raise money off of. Oh, how he's gone. But you don't think the American Communist 10 doesn't all work together? They actually use Brian Williams' retirement to raise money. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. I hope you have a great day.